My style is rich, though fat and rich. We'll make a cake today that looks rich.
Crack, crack the egg into the bowl.
Crack, crack, crack the egg into the bowl.
Parappa the Rapper, the great new music video
We're
game.
making us a cake that you've never seen before.
Once you played it, you can't get it out of your head.
PlayStation.
So, a couple of months ago, Sony dropped a bit of a bombshell by saying that they're not planning on releasing any big franchise games in the 2024 to 2025 fiscal year. And that's kinda worrying for some PS5 owners like myself, who are just kinda itching for a reason to use their PS5s. If you look at the PS5 only games Wikipedia article, it's honestly pretty sobering. It's only 12 games, 2 of them are VR exclusive, one's basically a demo, and one of them isn't even released yet. That said, I'm not one to beg for exclusives though, because I think the more places that you can play a game, the better. But it definitely does begin to make you ask the question, why do I even need to buy a PS5? And also, what is Sony doing with their long legacy of classic franchises? And that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to go over a bunch of PlayStation's classic franchises and do a sorta loose audit of what seems likely they'll be doing with them, but mostly it's going to be me making a few suggestions about what I'd like to see from them.
From the shores of Maine to the California coast, Tomba has captured the hearts of Americans everywhere.
So let's start off by going through the obvious ones that are the current meat and potatoes for the PlayStation portfolio. Stuff like God of War, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, Uncharted, and even like Horizon. I'd basically say that all of these games are guaranteed to either get a direct sequel or a spin-off of some sort that is basically a sequel. You know, the sort of games that aren't really gonna shock you with any big creative choices. I just expect them to deliver what we've already had, maybe just plussed up a bit. Though I do have a few ideas on things that they could do with these franchises that might be a little more unexpected. First off, I'd like to see God of War make a return to the style of the older games in the series. And I think that there's a few ways that you can go about that. My first idea would be for a God of War game that's set between the Greek and Norse eras of Kratos' story. There already are some allusions to the fact that Kratos found his way through ancient Egypt before the events of the 2018 game, and I think that this would be a great setting for a smaller scale, more classic style God of War game. I also think for this idea to work, and to have some legs in the current landscape of games, you might want to evoke something that's popular and already out there. Maybe have like Anubis do something to make Kratos resurrect after death, and bada boom, you got yourself a Hades clone. I think that a recursive situation, like a roguelike, would be a good place to tell a story of the character growth that is implied between the two eras that we've seen Kratos. The other way that I think you can go back to the early times in Kratos' life could be told through like a TV show or a movie. I know that Amazon's announced a series, but I'm worried that that's just gonna be like a direct live-action adaptation of the 2018 game, and I don't think that sounds like the most interesting way to go about it, personally. I think you should start with the Greek era, because at this point, there's probably a lot less people who've even played those games. Sure, he's a less complex character then, but I think that retelling this story, particularly in like the animated style of like those Netflix Castlevania shows, I think that could really work. But that's enough with God of War. Spider-Man is easily my favorite thing that PlayStation Studios is currently doing, and I don't think derailing that would be good. That said, I think a separate, unrelated Spider-Man game would still be welcome to me. I'd just like to see a more stylized game for Spider-Man. I love the older Ultimate Spider-Man game, and I also think that the variation that was present in Shattered Dimensions was really cool, so I'd love to see a Spider-Verse game, or at least something with a unique visual look to it. My last idea I have for Sony's currently ongoing franchises is Horizon. It's a series that's always seemed to just kind of barely make it by so far, and I'm kind of confused that they just haven't made this series more into a Monster Hunter clone. It has all of the elements right there, and I think that it could be like the shock to the franchise's system to really give it another, injection of some enthusiasm. It's just a franchise that's barely hanging on.
Wait, stop! Don't shoot! Do you have something less painful, maybe?
A crossbow?
Too messy.
A grenade launcher?
Ouch.
How about the taser?
Yeah, taser wouldn't be bad. It might leave a little rash mark.
Alright, now let's get on to the stuff that I think is really fun to speculate and idea craft about, and that's the stuff with the more unsure future. That said though, Bloodborne is happening. Whether it's a remake, a port, or a sequel, I'm pretty confident that it's gotta happen. I'm less confident that it's gonna be From Software that's handling it, but I think it's just too obvious of a people-pleasing thing to do to not capitalize on. One thing that Sony's done recently that has been a big hit was Helldivers 2. It's been a massive success, and I don't think they really need another extraction shooter beyond that, but I think there's a good chance of the boardroom recognizing its success, licking their chops, and demanding another round. So, I think that they have a couple of franchises that are just sitting there idle currently that could be brought back as extraction shooters. I'm talking about Killzone and Resistance, the Halo killers. I think that right now both of these series are just memorable enough to be remembered by people as something that was made and touted as a big deal at one point, so I think that this would be a good time to do something with them if they're going to do anything at all. Now here's the real thing that I see a lot of people speculate about probably the most because it has the most amount of nostalgia attached to it, and that's Sony's pretty big back catalog of dead mascot platformers. Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Ape Escape, and even the most contemporarily relevant one, Ratchet and Clank. Oh, and I know, calling Ratchet and Clank a dead franchise is probably a little bit soon to do that, but unfortunately, in the recent Insomniac hacked documents, they paint a picture of a franchise that seems to be on its way out. It just doesn't seem like it's been selling that well recently, so I think that indicates a potential series hiatus is on the cards. That said, I think what they should do is just double down on what they were only coyly gesturing towards in Rift Apart. In that game, the story was about a multiverse plot. I know it's pretty tiring at this point, but follow me on this one. Over the course of the game, you could find a few Easter eggs here and there from Sony's other platformer series, like Sly and Jak. I think they just need to commit and just do that all out. Make a game where you play as Ratchet, Sly, Jak, and hell, just throw in oddball PlayStation characters like Robert from Jumping Flash. They all get mixed up in a multiverse situation where they have to play through sections of each other's games. Imagine Sly having to do a rap with Chop Chop Master Onion, or Vibri from Vibribbon making his way through a level from Medieval. It would be a total nostalgia play, but I think it could work. This idea might seem a bit familiar though. In Astro's Playroom, there are a bunch of other cameos from PlayStation's history, and even more directly, there was a Sly, Ratchet and Jak crossover game on the PS3. But that was a Move exclusive, and it was pretty half-baked. Well, it wasn't even quarter-baked, really. But I think if they approach this idea with a substantial budget and a level of reverence for PlayStation history, it could be really something special. Put the Astro team on it, Team Asobi, they've already shown that they can pull at the nostalgia of PlayStation fans pretty well. Okay, only a few more ideas, but here's a real quick one. Syphon Filter, Sony's first-party stealth action franchise that's been last seen on the PSP. It just could never get out from under the shadow of Metal Gear, and I think that's what you might just want to do, is lean into that by giving it to Hideo Kojima himself. I know he'd probably not want the baggage of another franchise that he has nothing really to do with, but maybe a little restriction on its process could be a unique challenge for him. But I don't think he would enjoy it. So this is all nonsense, just disregard this. That said, he and Sony did just announce that they're making a new tactical espionage game in the future, and all of the letters of Fizz Int are present in Syphon Filter. But I'm kind of getting a little too conspiratorial now, so let's move on. While Gran Turismo stands as a stalwart racing simulation game for PlayStation, they're still missing a slam dunk arcadey racer. They could just revive MotorStorm to have a direct competitor to Forza Horizons, but I think looking into making a game in the vein of Mario Kart could go really well, but they need to have a bigger hook than just, hey, it's Mario Kart on the PlayStation. That hasn't worked twice already, with Modation Racers or Little Big Planet Karting. So I think they could use a series like Wipeout or Jet Moto as the base, and just reinvent it to be an accessible, character-filled, family-friendly racer. That said, Twisted Metal is also an option, but I think that could serve better as possibly like a Rocket League clone, with the car combat that you'd know from Twisted Metal. That could be kinda cool.
The other day, I was called a little turkey.
But I'm a chicken, got it? You beef jerky?
Alright, and that's going to be all for my wish list of what I'd like to see Sony do with their franchises. Got any ideas for Siren or Legend of Dragoon? Let me know in the comments. If you like the video, you know what to do. It's YouTube. You like and subscribe and do all the stuff that everyone always asks you to do. But yeah, thank you for watching. 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 Thank you for watching.